everyone. So, I'm Bernd. I'm really stoked to be here today and to experience your amazing community. I see there's so much overlap between the crypto community and the renewable energy and climate action community. And that's what I'm here to talk about a little bit today. I'm talking about creating transformational impact. And that in particular by using futures foresight and strategic design. I brought a few examples today, and all of the examples follow the solarpunk mindset. Because we use that mindset and solarpunk as a narrative to bring excitement and engagement into the energy transition. I'm co-founder of Ellery Studio. We are a transformation design agency based in Berlin, and our tagline is change by design, not by disaster. Because we should not just wait until disasters force us into action, but rather take a personal stand on the question of in what kind of future do we want to live, and then actively shape the steps to get there. So what we do, we help organizations and communities shape sustainable transformation. And we do that by conveying information, by anticipating futures, and by taking collective action. We have a little graphic for that, because if you want to design transformation, you see here it's like an infographic Venn diagram. You have designing transformation in the middle. If you want to design transformation, you have to first understand how did we get here where we are right now, understand like what brought us here and the challenges of today. Then we have to anticipate where do we want to go, what is the future that we want to transform to. And in the end we have to take action, collective action most of the time. If you're wondering, because I get that question a lot, why the hell is a German design agency called Ellery Studio? Just a quick backstory, because that's our origin story. We lived, like the founders, we lived together in Ellery Street in Brooklyn. And while it doesn't feel like it, because we do a lot of really silly and playful projects in our work, we are indeed a proper company by now. So this is my fabulous team. As you can see, lots of young, diverse people from very various fields of design, of science, of psychology, a very interdisciplinary team. Quickly by the number, we celebrate our 10th year this year. We have 23 team members. We did over these 10 years more than 400 change projects, and we have more than 130 partnerships, and all of them are usually from the fields of sustainability, climate change, renewable energy, social justice, all these kinds of transformation kind of topics. Okay, let's dive in. Let's talk about the future. Future foresight is one of our major tools that we use in our daily work. And foresight is a systemic, interdisciplinary and holistic study, and it all is about exploring how people will live and work in the future. And for that, it embraces uncertainty and very much discourse, like talking to each other, in order to inform decision-making processes or public policy. So, futures foresight sounds a little very futurist sci-fi. So when do we get our hoverboards in the future? I can't tell you that as a foresight person, but what we can do is we can talk about it, like how awesome or how horrible it would be if we all had hoverboards. And the study of the future is not looking into a crystal ball. So it has nothing to do with trends, like foresight trends. It's all about asking the right questions and then discussing them. Like the what ifs, that's the most foresight thing you can do. And for that, we have a scientific model. With that, we can differentiate what kinds of futures we are talking about. And this thing is called the futures cone. When we deal with the future, we always deal with several scenarios. Like there's always a multitude of possible futures. Some of them are probable, some of them are preferable, some of them are plausible, but in the end, oh, sorry, that was one too quick. There's like different approaches we can talk about the scenarios that we can come up with when we collectively think about the future. And solarpunk actually fits in there as well, but as you can see, it's outside of the realm of the possible because solarpunk is talking about utopias. And now what I hear often as a future foresight person, utopias are unreachable. Why even do that? As you can see, the outer rim of this cone is permeable. So whenever we talk about utopias, it can inform, inspire, and provoke ideas that we can then include in our vision of a preferable future. We can use utopias to explore new horizons. So in the end, we can also say the future cannot be studied. So future studies, future foresight is not studying the future, but rather the way we talk about it. And any ideas we have about the future, that can be studied. Okay, the goals of foresight in that sense are to create orientation, to formulate common goals, to develop knowledge about the future, to working out and evaluating the options that we have, creating images of the future, and developing strategies for taking action. Okay, a quick detour to strategic design. So how do we get these foresight principles to the people? How do we support them in exploring their desirable futures? At Ellery, we use design. Design as a tool of imagination. Because what you can't imagine, you can't wish for. I teach strategic design at the Berlin School for Design and Communication, so I could talk for hours now of what it exactly is and what it does. But I'll keep it really short here. Let's look at the role of the designer in the 21st century. Because there has been quite the paradigm shift over the last 10, 15 years. Let's jump back. What does a 20th century designer do? Usually, it's designing products, it's designing services, graphic design is what comes to mind, but the thing that most people will say is something with advertising. So now that communication obviously plays a really, really big role in any transformation, new tasks have emerged for creatives. The 21st century designers. We are now, like the other stuff still exists obviously, but there's a new branch of designers now where designers are researchers, mediators, facilitators, translators of content, creative problem solvers, and also critics, critiquing developments that are happening. So you can say strategic design is an integrated approach to understanding and exploring problems, finding new ways forward, and developing and testing solutions. Okay, because change needs imagination, needs communication. Okay. Now I brought a bunch of examples from the field, from the German energy transition. And the first thing I want to jump in, if you remember at the beginning, the understanding part is really important for any kind of change. Understanding we create through translating complex issues for non-experts. And we do that with infographics. Infographics, you might ask, what is that? Infographics are graphic visual representations of information, data or any kind of knowledge, and they are presented in a quick and accessible way. But a picture says more than 1,000 words, so just to illustrate what an infographic is, that's a genius infographic, one of my favorite ones. Try to explain that in text, and you will write a whole A4 page. Okay, how does this look like? How does this look like in the field with us? What we do a lot of infographics for change processes. Here's just a few examples. I do love posters, infographic posters, because a well-placed infographic poster next to the office coffee machine will reach much more people than a really sophisticated communication campaign. But this event is all about solarpunk, so I brought a few examples of solarpunky information design. Like this one, a graphic novel about Rudy the space dog who has adventures in the mobility transition, like explaining facts and figures, science behind why we should move to a sustainable mobility system. It talks about public transport, about cars, about online shopping, air travel, of course, is a big topic, and biking, of course. So this comic combines scientific research and relatable storytelling to bring across a rather dry information that nonetheless is relevant to know if you want to take part in public discourse or in political discourse. Okay, so if you think scientific research on urban mobility is a dry topic, how about the energy market in Germany? So we created another publication that is basically a 101 handbook for people who are about to join the workforce in the sustainability world, in the renewable energy industry. Because lots of people are flocking into this industry right now. It's growing exponentially. So if you have a job interview, that's what can help you prepare for it. It's a book that is based on a scientific model that we created, because nobody actually did that before, creating a scientific model of the German energy market and just really explain the itty-gritty details of it. And nobody got time for that, so infographics is a great tool to onboard people really quickly. And it's of course filled with lots of visual content that is easy accessible. Okay, I have another solarpunky kind of project that is not sustainability, but I thought it might be interesting for you, for this community. We did a comic series about cybersecurity together with the research cluster CASA at the University of Bochum, and it translates all their content into, like, everything they research on into science comics. English language, so I will share this with you as well. I have a link tree where you can access all these books that I show. They're all free also, because it's mostly publicly funded kind of research projects we do these things in. Okay, this is how it looks like. Okay, but information can also take a really different shape. And that's where our newest project comes in, that we will launch next week. It's called InfoDrag. Drag queens explain the energy transition. And thanks to a grant that was weirdly enough funded by the US Department of State for a viability study, a proof of concept project. And for that we produced a few pilot series of short infographic videos where our dear friend Viagra Falls, one of Berlin's most notorious drag queens, brings some pizzazz to the climate discourse. And we have a few episodes right now, three episodes: Understanding Climate Change, the Renewable Energy Revolution, and a Drag Queen's Guide to Climate Change. As I said, this is a viability study. It's a test if the translation of scientific content into a format like that can work smoothly based on the capacities of science projects. You can also check it out. We have a little website for it in our link tree. Here already is the QR code. I'll have it at the end of the presentation as well. Okay, now back to solarpunk, because solarpunk informs a lot of the stuff that we do. That's why it's such a powerful narrative. Have you heard of speculative design? It's a relatively new branch of design. Anybody heard of it? No? Yeah, there's one. Perfect. I'm there. Perfect. Speculative design is a kind of design that doesn't present commercially driven proposals, but rather designs proposals that identify and debate crucial issues that might happen in the future. Sounds very much like solarpunk, right? And it is. So back to solarpunk, this is actually also how I ended up here. We did a few years ago, because solarpunk is a very young kind of story punk. I think it started around in the early 2010s. And we stumbled into this topic and thought this is great for bringing people together to talk about renewable energy futures. So we created the Solarpunk Festival in Berlin. It was an experimental kind of summer school for 2 weeks where we brought together artists, scientists, all kinds of designers and strategists to exchange, to learn from each other, and to make art together and to have fun together. We have a little website for that where all the results are on there. But as you can see here, some of the international team of artists that came together in one of the briefings. We did a Foresight workshop, speculating on futures. We had lots of seminars and lectures spread out over 2 weeks. We took the whole bunch of artists then to an actual former open pit mine. If you ever go to Melt Festival in Berlin, that's where it is. It's an event space now. It has these impressive, huge machinery. Then we painted a huge mural based on all the scientific input that the artists got. And in the end, at the Technical University of Berlin, we had an exhibition where we used the materials of the stage building department. The artists created speculative design pieces about a solarpunk energy future. And they built a capsule, a living capsule, 30 square meters of solarpunk futures, incorporating all the things that they learned into a living room with lots of tiny storytelling devices. For example, there was a spider that could, a genetically modified spider that could silkscreen print things. 3D print. Then we had fashion designers who created wearables and actually created this jacket on location. We had interface designers who created a way of like a home control station for the living capsule. And we had a lot of exchange. So the people coming together, exchanging ideas, and the most important things about speculative design, asking the what-if questions. Okay, I have yet another example, but this time it's about co-creation. As you've seen at the festival, people come together, they design things together. This is also a tool that we really love to use. Co-creation is a design process in which active participation of stakeholders plays a central role from the beginning to the end. Now, the project I want to show you is called Future Booth. I'm at a lot of climate conferences. You might have seen in sustainability talks this picture. Have you seen something like that before? It's an absolute trope. It's a caricature of sustainability. Many of the scientists we work with come to us and say, like, you're designers, create imagery for us. We don't have positive images of the future. And if you go to a climate conference, you will see this picture in every single presentation. Up till like a few years ago, this was the standard picture that had to stand in when people talk about futures. We started a bunch of years ago during the Fridays for Futures initiatives to go to these events and start illustrating the futures and ideas the students had there. So here's an example. You see, there's our sign, the future booth. And we had like graphic recorders translating the ideas of the students, of the activists, into images. But of course, you all know, who wouldn't know if not you, just 1.5 years ago, we got surprised with an amazing technology that makes this kind of work much easier. And we integrated it instantly, of course, generative AI visualizations. And we traveled for the full last year from climate conference to climate conference and collected visions and images from climate scientists. What are the images that they have in their heads? And we visualized them. And now we played them all back over the year into the community so that everybody can use these images, because each of them has a little story. For example, like a scientist wanted to live in carved out mushroom houses. Or here's one who said they would love to have public transport that is basically invisible. Of course, renewable energy could be a much more aesthetic kind of thing, and that's very, very solar punk. Oh, this one, I put it in because I love it so much. It was an Austrian scientist. There's this inherent like desire for more comfortable and like chill out existence. But in the end, pretty much everyone just wanted to live in the Netherlands, like all the scientists. These are the visions that the scientists have in their heads. Oh, and this one is my favorite. It was a young scientist in Madrid at a climate conference. They wanted to see how iconic kind of city landmarks are plastered in solar panels. So with all these things, of course, were used on social media campaigns by some of our partner organizations. It's quite nice because you have the imagery and you can tell a nice story for each image. And that's how it looks like. Okay, ooh, timing is good. I have one more thing that I want to show you. A tool that is really powerful for us, peer-to-peer learning. And of course, gamification is a good thing. Now, with sensible topics, like topics that ruffle feathers, nobody likes a pointy finger. Like if you come in there and tell, like, this is how you do it, this is how it's done right. These complex issues very often are much better approached by learning from each other, especially when you have lots of people from different disciplines come in. And for that, I have an example. Like last year, we created a gamification toolkit about gender equality, because of course there can be no solar punk future without equality. And this toolkit is a role-play game, and it's originated in the experiences of climate researchers and scientists. And you can prepare yourself by playing it to sexist situations at the workplace. And, oh, perfect timing. Time is running out. If you want to experience it, I have it with me, so anybody who wants to play it, we can play it right here, right now, after the talk. So bottom line, and that will close my presentation. Facing total complexity in the challenges that we are facing right now. The world definitely is in need of lightheartedness and playful imagination. And solarpunk is a treasure trove of stories and ideas that you can totally utilize, almost weaponize, to bring people together. And in that sense, keep on solarpunking.
great presentation. We have time for one brief question. So if there's one question, we can take it. If not, then I guess feel free to reach out to Bernd nearby, and see you in 5 minutes.